Greetings, I'm Dan Bryant, Executive Director of SquareOne Villages, and just want to welcome everyone here. Thanks for coming out. Thank you for being very respectful of one another and social distancing and wearing masks and all of that. We actually did not invite near as many people as we had originally intended to for this event, just for that reason, but really thankful that you came out. So SquareOne Villages was pleased to partner with Cultivate and Dylan Lamar. I got to know a couple years ago when he first came to me with this concept. We had coffee together downtown Eugene and began discussing this concept. Pitched it to our board, and then have been working together for the last couple of years to bring this to fruition. This is a very innovative concept. It is actually the first of its kind in the state of Oregon, and not just the physical structure, but the financial structure and the nature of the co-op. So we really believe that this is a path towards more affordable housing on a smaller scale for hundreds and thousands of people in this community, around the state, and even the nation. So we'll explain a little bit of that in just a little bit. First, I'd like to introduce someone who really needs no introduction, except to say that pleased to inform you that our favorite Congressman, Representative Peter DeFazio, was awarded the honor, Margaret, help me again, the Integrity of Honor Award, Integrity in Politics Award from the Wayne Morse Historical Preservation Society. And yeah, absolutely, very deserving. Congressman DeFazio has been a huge supporter of SquareOne Villages. Our very first fundraising event, the Pie in the Vineyard, featured the congressman as our speaker, and I actually attribute him for the success of that event because it helped to draw 250 people to that event and enabled us to raise nearly $150,000 for our first affordable housing project, Emerald Village, Eugene, which was completed a couple of years ago. So we greatly, you know him as the head of the Transportation Committee, for which he's received some and doing great work, right, in Washington, D.C. But he's also a great advocate for this kind of work for affordable housing. So, Congressman, share with us your perceptions.
That's your height, not mine. There we go. Well, thanks, Dan. No, I'm incredibly excited. We got to do a tour, walk through some of the details about how the co-op's going to work. This is a fabulous model. I mean, here we are utilizing essentially a single house lot in Springfield to accommodate 6 families or 6, couples in this space. And the spaces, if you haven't toured yet, you'll see them. They're beautiful. And this was a huge and very persevering local effort that was innovative. We did get some federal money through the Community Development Block Grant, and that's a program we've been fighting to preserve. The Republicans have been trying to kill it for years. We've managed to sustain it, and we're going to put a lot more money in this year's appropriations. But we're going bigger than that. We're proposing in the Build Back Better plan over $300 billion nationally for affordable housing in this country. I mean, we are not the only place or area in this country in crisis for affordable housing. It's everywhere in the country. And we're looking at a large number of programs there, but I would hope some of them would be based on this model. What I really like about it is, people come in and they've got a stake in it. It's not like when you move into, I was on the county board of commissioners, and we've got the Lane County Housing Authority. Let's get different name now. But they don't have a stake in that property. Here, the people will be owners of, physically of the unit they live in. The land stays perpetually in the trust. And ultimately, if, things get better for them, or they have a growing family and they need a larger space, they'll be able to sell, but not at market rate, at a rate where they get they get a little reasonable rate of return, but someone else can succeed them. It's essentially like an incubator for getting people well housed in this country. And to have people who have an investment, shared ownership in the land, and shared management of the land and the maintenance, it's going to be like fabulous for these people. It's going to be absolutely extraordinary, and we need to replicate this about, I don't know how many million times across America, but many millions of times across the United States of America. And I'm working with Maxine Waters. I had a lot in my bill that passed the House, the Invest bill, to serve people and to promote affordable housing with transit, and affordable transit or even free transit. We allowed that for low-income communities. Unfortunately, the Senate stripped most of that stuff out. I'm trying to restore it in the reconciliation bill. We're in a rather lengthy pitch battle. We'll see how that all works out. But Maxine is moving ahead with the housing program. I'd like to restore the access and the transit parts for those folks. So thanks for being here. Thanks for all of you who are involved. Thanks for all of you who are advocates for affordable housing. And this is my hometown, so this is really a great project for Springfield. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Congressman. We really appreciate the support that you have given to us ongoing. And then next, I'd like to introduce the architect who came up with this concept, Dylan Lamar. Dylan?
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Congressman DeFazio. I appreciate you being here today. It means a lot. And thank you all for coming and showing up and being safe with your masks on and everything. We stopped publicity for this, and I think we hit the numbers about right, so I'm really pleased to see you all. I want to speak a little bit about what you see in front of you here. So on the day, as Dan mentioned, I'm the architect, also the developer of the project, and this has been my first development project, kind of moving from the world of architecture into development. So it's a big learning curve climbed here. On the day building permits were approved for these houses, my son was born just a few blocks down the road. My wife and I even took a walk to see the excavated site as we waited for her contractions to progress. True story. Now as I turn over the keys to my first development, our firstborn son, who's in the back there, is just beginning to stand unassisted and to lift his hands into thin air in wonder. Oregon lawmakers, with the support of Congressman DeFazio, who joins us today, have recently taken a heroic step for my son and his generation. With the passage of House Bill 2001, they have re-legalized missing middle housing. Starting next summer, duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes will again be allowed to be integrated into our neighborhoods. The re-legalization of these historic housing types signals to me a new era of housing inclusion and opportunity for Oregon. Since the 1950s, thanks to the likes of Senator Joseph McCarthy, multifamily housing in America has been demonized and strictly segregated along socioeconomic lines. Now, after decades of exclusionary zoning, housing supply has not kept up with housing demand, and we're witnessing extreme appreciation in real estate markets nationwide. Wealthy cash buyers and investment firms are pricing the middle class out of home ownership. Renters are being priced out of homes to an unprecedented level. Why? Because a renter's home is someone else's commodity. Because the affordable housing industry is both underfunded and forced to accept 20-year sunset clauses on affordability. Ensuring that even the lucky few families living there are not assured of permanent stability. Decades of exclusionary zoning and housing policies which marginalize low-income families and people of color are taking their toll on our society. And year by year, we see tents lining street after street where homes should be instead. Homeownership has long been the economic foundation of the American middle class. With the newfound opportunity of missing middle housing, our social challenge now is to figure out how to deliver home ownership opportunities through the thousands of small lot multifamily developments that we'll see in coming decades. Further, how can we ensure that these infill home ownership opportunities are accessible to to historically marginalized people such as low-income earners and people of color. The housing cooperative that stands before you demonstrates that yes, this is possible, and that actually it's surprisingly simple. Housing cooperatives offer us a powerful tool for small multifamily home ownership. Co-ops have a rich history in America. 75% of New York City apartment buildings are owned as co-ops, many of them created when low-income families came together to buy their buildings from absentee landlords. Many co-ops are comprised of middle-class folks, and some are very exclusive and serve only the wealthy. Virtually any type of housing can be owned as a co-op, be it a Manhattan high-rise, a houseboat, or an unusual arrangement of houses like those that stand before you. Condos are a more common tool for multifamily ownership in Oregon, but they're cost prohibitive for small developments. It costs roughly $25,000 to condoize a project and requires designers and builders to carry expensive insurance policies. This is why condo development today is typically only seen for high-end housing, and why we typically think of multifamily housing as synonymous with rental housing. Housing co-ops offer a more affordable pathway to multifamily home ownership, and they require just a few standard legal documents to be established. We're working on lining those out and hope to close next week. Co-ops can be a powerful tool for affordable housing. Shared equity co-ops can establish permanently affordable resident-owned communities, especially when combined with community land trusts like SquareOne Villages. The combination of a shared equity co-op and a community land trust means permanent stewardship of homeownership access for the community. Before you stands the C Street Co-op, a humble yet powerful demonstration of the kind of housing America needs: permanently affordable homeownership through small lot infill housing. It also demonstrates the viability of affordable and sustainable low-carbon housing in a walkable neighborhood. The C Street Co-op sits on a standard residential lot and consists of 2 houses with a total of 6 one-bedroom suites. Because House Bill 2001 is not yet in effect, we built kitchenettes instead of kitchens. And technically, these are shared single-family homes rather than a true sixplex. The homes are inherently energy efficient by virtue of their shared wall construction. However, they're also built to a net zero energy standard of energy efficiency. With well-insulated 2x8 walls, thank you, triple pane windows and airtight construction. Add to this a 10-minute walk to downtown Springfield, and the stage has been set for a sustainable, low-carbon lifestyle. Additionally, with exceptionally well sound-insulated walls and floors, we've also endeavored to create as peaceful and private a living situation as possible for the resident owners. I also want to mention the landscaping will be coming in the fall once the rains arrive. Financing one of the first co-ops to be built in Oregon in decades has not been easy. In the end, we turned to the generosity of 5 local social impact investors for the $600,000 needed for construction. And yes, if you're doing the math, that's just $100,000 per unit, less than half the cost of typical affordable rental housing. We're grateful that Summit Bank was willing to try something new and provide a mortgage to the co-op. And I'm especially grateful to SquareOne Villages for helping me craft this vision and being willing to innovate. That means a lot of uphill struggle and frustration to see this vision become reality. Through their efforts, we were able to secure the modest subsidy needed to extend these homeownership opportunities to folks earning just 60% of the area median income. That's an affordability threshold rarely achieved with ownership housing. And yet we did so with less than 10% of the subsidy required of typical affordable rental housing. How did we do all this? There's no magic here, just a new approach taking advantage of a new opportunity. Simple, small homeowner suites built into a couple of unassuming single-family homes by a local residential contractor. A very competent contractor, I should add. Thank you, Zaidi, wherever you are.
Zaidi's back here.
Yeah. The C Street Co-op alone is not going to solve our housing crisis. Yet it offers a compelling demonstration of how missing middle housing cooperatives can leverage a modest one-time subsidy to permanently enrich a neighborhood. How it can reintroduce diversity and inclusion, diverse both in types of buildings and types of people. How it can support sustainable, walkable lifestyles, and how it can expand and steward permanent homeownership access for an entire community. This demonstration project, though small, has been a monumental success, It proves that a vision for a socially and environmentally sustainable future is possible if only we will make the most of this newfound missing middle housing opportunity and open no doors to homeownership. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dylan. It's just been a delight working with you, and I hope we can, we are working together on some other projects, but hopefully we'll be doing another one of these someday before too long. Just real quickly, I want to thank a number of other people who've helped make this possible. John Fisher, who's sold the property to us. I think that's John behind the mask back there. Yeah. Our social investors who put up the capital funding, provided the loan, the construction loan, in order to build this until we get the mortgage. Our board members, yeah, thank them. We have several SquareOne board members. Our former mayor, who is the chairperson of our board, Kitty Piercy. Sharon Schumann, right in front of me. Jenny Jonak, back here. No? Oh, that's not Jenny. Nope. Someone else that looked like Jenny. I'll get to her. Let's see, other board members. Who am I? Robert. Melnick, right over here. I get up all of our board, and Isaac Judd over here. I get all of our board members. And I want to thank all the politicians who showed up today. We have Rep. Fahey, Julie Fahey, representing Springfield City area. Forgive me if I leave someone out. I'm going through the crowd. Let me see. I know there are several here. Senator Beyer is over on this side. We have Commissioner Heather Buck back here. We have Commissioner Joe Burney right over here. We have a couple of city councilors, Steve Moe and Corey Rodley. Did I get your name right, Corey? Did I miss any of our elected officials? So thank you very much. We'll be talking to many of you as the days go by, as we continue to try to do more projects, and hopefully we can get Eugene to follow the model of Springfield, right? And do something like this and get it going all around the state. So we want to invite you who have not yet taken a peek inside. We do ask that only 2 or 3 people in each apartment to keep the socially distanced. We ask that you take off your shoes or their booties right here. If you put those on to preserve the floors so we don't bring in any rocks. We want to keep this place pristine for our new residents that will be moving in next week once we get the mortgage finalized. So at SquareOne Villages, we are about the task of providing decent, affordable homes for so many of our community members who deserve to have better than what they have now. And this is a little bit outside of our previous model of doing tiny homes, but it is more in line with the direction that we want to move of permanent housing in which the residents have that ownership stake that Congressman DeFazio talked about. We really believe this is the wave of the future to keep homes affordable because it can't be sold on the open market to the highest bidder, as we're seeing happening in so many other places where the prices of homes just get bid out of affordability for most people. So we're excited to launch this, to show this off, and thankful that you came to be here. If you're not on our contact list, get in contact with one of our staff members. The last people I want to thank, we have Community Relations Director Amanda Dellinger, Project Director Andy Heben, is Jeff here? Whom else? And then I have my part of my accounting staff, Donna Wrights and Carrie Oristano. Oh, that's April's. Pro. Yeah, that's your daughter's name. It's been too long. I've been out of the church business for too long. It's the first thing came to mind. Did I miss anyone? Okay, well, thank you all. Come on in, take a look, and thanks for coming.
Dan, can I say one thing?
Oh, sure. John Fisher had a word to say.
I just wanted to talk to all the baby boomers out there who have property that has increased in value a significant amount and feel a need to squeeze every dollar out of it. And I didn't feel that I had to do that. This was attached to a rental house that I have next door. And I think there's a lot of people with property who've been gotten into the idea that the more you can get, the most you can get is the only price. So if you know people or you have property that could be utilized for something of this sort, you'll make $20,000 instead of 30 or 50 instead of 80 or whatever. You'll still have plenty of money. And it's a way to give back some of what we have appreciated through no great work of our own by just good timing. So think about that if you know people with property that could go to this kind of thing.